why the divine masculine is fake, doesn't exist, not real. I'm messing with you. It's real. Just a little clickbait for you, that's all. But stick around, because what I'm about to speak to, it matters. And it matters most in relationships, in authentic relating, in dating and intimacy, in sexuality, in really understanding someone, seeing them for who they are. Now, we all carry divinity within us. We all carry a wholeness within us from my perspective. We are all divine beings. We are all divine masculine. We are all divine feminine. We are all the things. We are also the shadow. And part of divinity is the shadow. And that's maybe an existential conversation, or a conversation beyond the nature of what I want to speak to today. However, it's an important conversation. We're all divine in that right. And in fact, I would posit that the sooner we realize that, the sooner we recognize our fucking brilliance, how amazing we are, how whole we are, that we are not broken, that we are connected, sovereign, autonomous, spiritual, physical, beautiful beings. The deeper healing that will take place collectively and individually. But the divine masculine that I'm speaking to is the one that pretends to be the divine masculine, the sacred masculine. It's the masculine that hasn't quite integrated themselves just yet. Now, they may do this purposely. They may be very deliberate in their deception. They may be narcissistic in their tendencies. They may carry traits of Machiavellianism, psychopathy even, a dark triad in psychology, hyper selfishness, manipulation, a lack of empathy, an inability to truly connect with people, deception that runs through them. Or they may be doing this and not even knowing that they are doing it. They claim to be divine, they claim to be healed. I've been down this path, genuinely thought I went through a cathartic experience, I went and searched for the thing came to me, I became better than I was, I'm healed. My ego, my arrogance got in the way. Doesn't always work like that. So these divine masculine men that think they're masculine men can either deliberately be deceiving or unconsciously be deceiving. They haven't done their work yet. They're reeling in the divine feminine. They're attempting to reel in the divine feminine. Or they're attempting to reel in women for their own self-gratification. Whether it's sexual, whether it's an emotional up-leveling that they require the people around them to feed them compliments, to feed their insecurities with gestures and words and acts of service of value. You are valuable, because they don't see that within themselves. They're immature in their constitution. They're still in the pretend stage and phase of divine masculinity. They're not integrated. Their words and actions don't match. They're confused. They're doing things to compensate for what they are not feeling inside, or what they are feeling within. So what they are not feeling is that sense of wholeness, that sense of enoughness, that sense of worthiness. They've just started out their path. You know, it's the archetype of chasing the sun, the flow boy, the fuck boy, the archetype of just going with the flow energy. They're not grounded in, that's not masculine. Now, nothing wrong with flow energy, but that flow energy is feminine. They claim to be divine masculine, but they're really in their feminine energetic of being. Remember, feminine, masculine energetics reside within all of us. They carry these insecurities that drive their behavior and drive who they are in the world. They act from that place. Again, that place of compensation, that place of pain, that place of fear. They are riddled with fear. Now, some that are deliberate in their deception are going to the places where they think women who are looking for quote-unquote spiritual men will be. The yoga studio, the wellness center, the plant medicine retreat. Oh, and the divine masculine, this divine masculine, of course. Oh, they've done all the ceremonies, the peyote, the kambo, the ayahuasca, the San Pedro, the psilocybin MDMA mix. They've done it all and beyond. Maybe they've done iboga as well. Maybe they've done the toad, they're 5-MEO. They've had that prolific experience and now their whole world has changed. Forget about the unaddressed, unresolved trauma that still resides within them that they haven't looked at. They're still riding the wave of their courage, yes, to go into those places and spaces, but have they integrated? I would say no. The ecstatic dance, oh, they're there. They're definitely there. The cuddle puddles, oh, they're there. They're definitely there. What are they wearing? I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. What are they wearing? Oh, the thick beads. Oh, I've been there. The thick beads, I'm not quite sure what those beads mean, but there's something. The robes, the loose gowns. I mean, they did a Vipassana for 10 days, so surely they must be a mystic now. I'm being a little facetious and I'm teasing a bit. And I think some of you can relate. This isn't a judgment, let me be very clear. This is a stage of development that is very common and very healthy, actually, when it's not deliberate deception that's taking place. It's all part of us finding our identity. And the confusion within, thinking that we are in a divine masculine archetype when we're not quite there yet, that's part of the identity, that's part of the confusion, that's part of finding self. And there are some of these masculine men, divine masculine men, claiming to be divine masculine men that are really just there to fuck. They're just really there to have sex. To, again, I mentioned this earlier, to be self-gratifying in their sexuality, in their emotionality. Because their self-worth is low. They're little boys. Some of them are hiding behind pickup artistry. And they're using this divine masculine facade as a way to get closer to women. This stage of development is actually needed. What would serve us best is if we could own it, be in it, to recognize it, to have a mirror saying, hey man, are you in faux masculinity? Are you in faux divine masculinity? You know, faux, F-A-U-X, faux, fake, false, facade, all the F's. Why are you really embodying that truth? Now, we live in a world of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is not a bad thing. We give it a bad name, but it's not a bad thing. Hypocrisy for me is transition. It's a transition space. It's, here is who I am. Here is who I want to be. I see that thing that I want to be. I move towards it, but my body sometimes pulls me back because it's a little intense moving into the unknown. These divine masculine men, these divine masculine archetypes that I'm referring to, the specific ones that I'm referring to today, they're in that limbo. They're in that twilight zone of in-between. Their body's pulling them back saying, whoa, it's unsafe to go to the unknown. Let's just stay with what we know. And then there's a hypocrisy. Now they're out of integrity. Now they don't feel safe. You know when you're in the presence of a faux divine masculine man, when the conversation is forced, the spiritual conversation is forced, the words are forced, the embodiment's not there, you can feel it through your nervous system, that they're talking, but they're not really doing the thing that they're talking about. And you'll feel that. You'll see their eyes darting around. You'll see them uncomfortable in their posture, not really believing their own words. And sometimes they can get to a place where they do. But again, all this isn't to throw fire to this kind of man. It's to just say, hey, this particular path sometimes carries this identity and this archetype. How do we want to relate to that and interact with that? And as a man, that you're on this path, can't you just own where you're at? Just own it. It's a transition. Change is inevitable. It will shift. I just find this archetype curious. So I thought, why not do a video on these men that perceive themselves as divine kings, but really they're broken warriors. Really they're young boys that haven't dealt with their pain. And that's not something to laugh at. That's something to nurture. Sometimes humor can break through, play and lightness can break through in a softer way. And this isn't about making fun of these men. I know I've been in this place before. Trying to find my feet, understand who I really am, know, connect to, feel, love who I really am. And it's a process. But as a woman, it's important you recognize this man, and with compassion, non-judgment, maybe let him know. You may think, well, it's not my place. It's not about your place. You're not teaching him or coaching him. You're just sharing your heart in a compassionate, non-judgmental way. And that can be very healing for the masculine. Love to know your thoughts on this one. You know, the man that goes to Bali and then maybe Costa Rica, and maybe Hawaii, and then maybe Encinitas, and I think you get the picture. Love to hear your thoughts on this one.